Always good to have you with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. On the heels of Labor Day, we roll it into this week, starting out on a Tuesday. The fact is that workers are on a slippery slope in our economy. Yes, we've had 65 months of private sector job growth. Wall Street is doing well. Corporate profits are very strong, but American workers and disposable income is disappearing. You can't deny it. And David Cay Johnston, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, contributing editor with Newsweek, also columnist of Al Jazeera, America, and tax analyst. Great to have you with us, David.
Well, good to be here, Ed.
You have written a very interesting piece in the Philadelphia Inquirer over the weekend. This Labor Day, it's time that the United States to catch up with the rest of the world. Where are we falling behind in very direct terms as to disposable income and what's happening to America?
Well, the bottom half of Americans in 2012 had 18% less income than they did in 2003. That's from a new IRS report that is the most detailed set of numbers they've ever given. I had to then analyze to get those numbers out of it. Of all the gains in this country over that same 10-year period from 2003 to 2012, 8% of all the increase went to 1,361 households. I mean, a town that size, you probably have never heard of a town that only has 1,361 households, and yet they got 8% of all the income. We have a series of hidden policies that have been put in place since Ronald Reagan's election that take from the many to give to the few. And why the public is not standing up and saying, stop this massive upward redistribution, Ed, is just beyond me.
And in terms of the last decade, what kind of money are we talking about? $300, $400, $500, $600 a month in income? Put a real number to it.
Well, the average income, as reported on tax returns of the bottom half of Americans, is $14,775. Think about that for a minute. That's $1,200 a month in round numbers. That's the average of the bottom 50%. Now, a lot of those are two-income households where they file separate tax returns, people who aren't married but they live together. So the numbers would be somewhat higher, but they're not tremendous numbers. But maybe the most telling one is this: the median annual earnings from work. Median means half make more and half make less. Has been stuck at about $520 a week, adjusted for inflation, $520 a week since 1998.
So
17 years with no change, Ed. That's just incredible.
So what reverses this downward spiral? And that's exactly what it is. I mean, you've given us the definition of an economic downward spiral for American workers. What reverses that?
Well, we have to have government policies that stop coddling people at the top. I mean, as you know, I've pointed out in the past, if you're a billionaire, you're allowed legally to live tax-free by borrowing against your assets. That you can borrow right now at I just got a solicitation to borrow at 1%. So certainly billionaires can borrow at 1%. Why would you pay a minimum tax of 20% by cashing in any of your gains? That's one thing that we've got to stop, this not having to recognize the income you have. We need fundamentally unions, and I always tell conservatives, if you believe in market economics, then you should believe in unions, because individual workers have no bargaining power against multi-billion-dollar employers, whether they're the school district or a city government or a corporation.
So
you've got to have unions.
So, David, where has the 65 months of private sector job growth come from? Is it the financial sector? Is it the service sector? It certainly isn't manufacturing. What is it?
Right. Well, it's now 66 months, by the way. We just got the new data. It has come largely in low-paid service jobs or jobs that pay in the low six figures that essentially are services to the wealthy. You know, banking, legal services, financial management services. But an enormous amount of this growth is at the bottom of the pile. And in the long run, Ed, if we don't start recognizing that driving wages down and this argument that we should get rid of the minimum wage, well, why don't we just go back to slavery if we're going to do that, that driving it down will destroy social stability, it destroys families, it destroys the work ethic. If Portugal, with less than half the income per person we have, can afford universal health care and retirement plans, how can we not afford these things?
Is there a candidate out there that you think has a game plan, either on the right or the left, a Democrat or Republican or independent, that appears to have a complete grasp of this and would do something about it, or has set forth policies that would change this downward spiral?
Well, Sanders, and I'm not for or against any candidate here. Okay?
I know you're not. I know you're not, but I'm talking policy.
Ed Sanders has clearly articulated the issues that are out there, and part of the reason he's drawing such big crowds, and part of the reason conservatives voted for him overwhelmingly as a congressman and a senator, is that he understands the economics of people who are not gazillionaires, because he talks with people, he listens to people, and he pays attention to the data. To really get change, though, we've got to get state legislatures changed, because they draw the congressional districts, and they've gerrymandered unionists, Black Americans, young people into highly concentrated districts. So Congress is not representative of the voters. And we've got to get people registered to vote and to the polls on Election Day. I mean, it all doesn't matter if you don't vote. If you don't vote, then you let the Koch brothers with their campaign to put their policies in place, which they sincerely believe in. That don't demonize them. They're serious people who believe their policies will be good for America. They're going to win again and again and again, because they've got the resources to get people to the polls who support their vision of America.
David Cay Johnston, always great to visit. Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. Thanks so much.